He had everything: power, influence, wealth, and the personal trust of the King of England. Yet he willingly gave it all up, not for money, not for ambition, but for his conscience. His name was Thomas More, and his final decision would cost him his freedom, his career, and ultimately his life. This is the story of the saint who chose God over a king. Long before he became a saint, Thomas More was one of the most respected men in England. Born in London in 1478, he received an excellent education and quickly gained a reputation for intelligence and integrity. He became a lawyer, a scholar, a husband and father, and eventually one of the most influential public figures in the kingdom. His brilliance attracted the attention of King Henry VIII. The two men developed a close relationship. The king trusted him, admired him, and eventually appointed him Lord Chancellor of England. It was one of the highest positions in the country. From the outside, Thomas More appeared to have everything. But a storm was coming. King Henry VIII wanted something the church would not grant. He wanted his marriage annulled. When Rome refused, Henry made a decision that would change English history forever. He broke with the Catholic Church. Then he declared himself supreme head of the church in England. Many people accepted the change. Others remained silent. But Thomas More faced a problem. He believed loyalty to God came before loyalty to any earthly ruler. The king expected support. Thomas More could not give it. Carefully, quietly, respectfully, he resigned his position. But resignation was not enough. The king wanted obedience, and Thomas More would not surrender his conscience. Soon, Thomas More was accused of refusing to recognize the king's authority over the church. He was arrested, taken to the Tower of London, and imprisoned. The man who once advised kings now sat alone in a prison cell. Friends urged him to compromise. Family members worried for his safety. Officials pressured him repeatedly. All he had to do was agree. One signature, one statement, one act of obedience. His freedom could have been restored. But Thomas More believed some things were worth more than freedom. He chose to remain faithful to his convictions, even when the consequences became unavoidable. After months of imprisonment, Thomas More was brought to trial. The outcome was almost certain. Witnesses testified against him. The government wanted an example. Thomas More defended himself with remarkable intelligence and dignity. But the verdict was guilty. The sentence was death. The former Lord Chancellor would be executed. Yet those who saw him noticed something extraordinary. He remained calm, not because he expected rescue, but because he believed his conscience was clear before God. On July 6, 1535, Thomas More was led to his execution. He climbed the scaffold with surprising composure. Then he spoke words that would be remembered for centuries. "I die the king's good servant, but God's first." Those words captured everything he had stood for. He was not a rebel. He was not seeking power. He simply believed that loyalty to God came before loyalty to any ruler. Moments later, he was executed. His earthly life ended. But his witness had only begun. Centuries later, Thomas More was canonized by the Catholic Church. Today he is the patron saint of lawyers, judges, politicians, public officials, and all those who must make difficult moral decisions. His story continues to inspire people around the world, not because he was perfect, but because he refused to abandon his conscience when it mattered most. In a world where compromise is often rewarded, Thomas More reminds us that truth sometimes comes at a cost, and that courage is not the absence of fear. It is remaining faithful despite it. St. Thomas More, a man for all seasons. St. Thomas More, pray for us. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Daily Saints with Grace for more saint biographies, Catholic history, and inspiring stories of faith. And let me know in the comments, do you think you would have had the courage to make the same choice Thomas More made?